In the name of God, in this section, we are talking about the adrenal gland, uh, different layers and hormones of the uh, cortex of the adrenal gland. The adrenal gland is a gland located on the top of the renal, with exactly like a cap on the top of the kidney. In this figure, we are looking to the different zones in the adrenal gland through the cross sections. We see that we can divide the adrenal gland into cortex and medulla. The medulla is a part of the sympathetic nervous system, but the hormones, epinephrine or neuroepinephrine, is secreted through the blood circulation. So it's a kind of sympathetic nervous system, but the hormone is secreted into the blood circulation. So the whole body is affected by uh, epinephrine or neuroepinephrine. Medulla, the medullary part of the adrenal gland is specifically activated through when the person wants to be alert, for example, during exercise or when he wants to escape from something frightening or something like that. In alarming condition, it's activated. But the other zone, it's the cortical zone. The cortical zone is divided into three different zones. Zona glomerulosa is a thin layer on the top of the cortical part of the adrenal gland. The second part is zona fasciculata, and the third part, we call it zona reticularis. Zona glomerulosa is responsible for the secretion of hormones entitled mineralocorticoid hormones. This is a generally name of the hormones secreted by zona glomerulosa, but specifically aldosterone is secreted by this layer. So aldosterone is the main mineralocorticoid hormones. In the middle zone, zona fasciculata, we have the cortisol, which is the representative of glucocorticoid hormones. And the inner zone, zona reticularis, are secreted androgens, the sex hormones, which is normally the male sex hormones secreted in both sexes, females and males. Here we see that we have different mineralocorticoids. Mineralocorticoids are the hormones secreted by zona glomerulosa, but they are controlling or regulating some minerals, specifically potassium and sodium. I was talking about that aldosterone is very potent mineralocorticoid secreted by zona glomerulosa. But also we have other mineralocorticoids. Some of them are glucocorticoid but have some function of mineralocorticoid. For example, deoxycorticosterone, corticosterone, cortisol, and cortisone, which is the metabolite of cortisol. All of them are glucocorticoid, but with some little function of mineralocorticoid. But what is the effect of aldosterone as a mineralocorticoid in the body? It's regulates two different ions, very important ions, sodium and potassium. But the net effect of aldosterone is increasing sodium concentration in the body and decreasing potassium concentration in the body. But how? We have some fluid secretion in the body, specifically urine and the saliva and the gastrointestinal secretory, and also by sweating. All of these ways, in all of these ways, we can waste some minerals. So the main effect of aldosterone has these organs, which we can lose some minerals through some secretion. But specifically because urination is very important way of wasting some electrolytes through the body, the main Organ effect or target of aldosterone is kidney. But which part of kidney? Uh, In the renal, in the nephron, we have the cortical collecting duct and medullary collecting duct. The main receptors for aldosterone is located in cortical collecting duct or medullary collecting duct. We have some cells in this part called principal cells. The principal cells is the main target of aldosterone. Here we can see the magnification um, of a cell, a principal cell of the cortical collating duct. We see that aldosterone, because the source of aldosterone is cholesterol and it's lipid, it can transfer easily through the lipid bilayer of the cell and go, and the receptor is located in the cytoplasm. After adjoining to the receptor, it will go to the nucleus and it will increase some transcriptional factors for increasing the synthesis of some proteins. But which proteins? We have the channels which led the absorption of the sodium from the urine to the blood and to the cell. This channel is controlled by or in the secretion of this channel is increased through the aldosterone action. The other part, which is not which has not been shown in this figure, we have another channel for extruding the potassium from the cytoplasm to the urine, so it will secrete potassium. This channel is also under the control of aldosterone. But there is another pump, the sodium potassium ATPase pump, which is located in the basolateral part of the cell. This will let the sodium, which was reabsorbed from the urine, to go to the blood circulation, and also it will enter the potassium from outside to the cell, and the potassium will go and secrete to the urine. All of these ways are under the control of aldosterone. So, in mineralocorticoid deficiency, what will happen? We will have hyperkalemia. The hyperkalemia or the potassium is more important for survival of the person than the sodium. Although the net effect of the aldosterone is also on sodium concentration in the body, but because potassium is very important for the body, the the aldosterone, the deficiency of aldosterone or the higher amount of aldosterone, both of them will be killing person because of the potassium. So in the decrease of aldosterone, we will have hyperkalemia or a high level of the potassium in the body. What is the consequence of high level of the potassium in the body? Serious cardiac toxicity, weakness of heart contraction, arrhythmia, and heart failure, and finally this will be happen. So in hyperkalemia, the person will die because of the heart failure or arrhythmia. Sometimes we will have hyperaldosteronism, most of them because of the some tumor in the adrenal gland. What will happen? The concentration, at first, the concentration of sodium in the extracellular fluid will be increased because of more and more absorption of the sodium. And after that, because sodium likes to gather the water around it, we will have increase of extracellular fluid volume, and the net effect of this is increase in blood pressure. So, the blood pressure in the persons with the tumor of hyperaldosteronism will be increased. But how long it will be continue? Is it possible that the blood pressure will continue and the person will be alive? No. after 2 or 3 days, something will happen in the body. We call this phenomena as the escape of aldosterone. So after 1 or 2 days after high aldosterone concentration, uh, something will happen in the kidney. We call it the aldosterone escape. What will happen in the kidney? The kidney will respond to the high blood pressure, and it will let the sodium to be remain in the urine, and because of that, we will have natriuresis, or wasting of the sodium through urination, and diuresis. It means the wasting of water in the urine. So all of them will happen because of the high blood pressure. So we call pressure natriuresis or pressure diuresis because of the high blood pressure. This is a reaction, a normal reaction of the kidney to high blood pressure. After that, the amount of the sodium that will absorb because under the control of the aldosterone will be exactly equal to the amount of the sodium that is wasting to the urine or secreting to the urine, or natriuresis. Because these two are equal, the blood pressure will not increase anymore, but it will increase in the higher level than normal condition because of the high level of aldosterone, but it will not increase anymore. Otherwise, if the escape of aldosterone by the action of the kidney will not happen, what would happen? The person would die because of the increasing high level in the blood pressure. But because of aldosterone escape, the level of the blood pressure will not go anymore, no more, and but it will remain in the high level and in a steady state. So in this diagram, we can see the effect of high aldosterone level. On the top diagram is showing mean arterial. The medium level is extracellular fluid, and the lower part is urinary sodium. At first, we see that by increasing the level of aldosterone, what will happen? The level of sodium in the urine will decrease suddenly. And what is the consequence of that? Extracellular fluid is going up. And because of that, the blood pressure is going up also. But after the third after the second day, what will happen to the sodium? Here, the natriuresis of the kidney is happening, and because of that, we see that some reabsorption, uh, uh, some reabsorption of the urine will be decreased, and the level of the sodium in the urine is increased. This is the natriuresis effect of the kidney. And because of that, the extracellular fluid is remaining in a steady state, and uh, mean arterial blood pressure, although it's in the higher level, but it's going to the steady state. All this steady state means that the reabsorption of the sodium because of the aldosterone effect is equal to the urinary sodium secretion because of the natriuresis of the kidney. But what is the effect of high aldosteronism on potassium level? We will have the hypokalemia. What is the effect or the phenomena of the hypokalemia in the body? Severe muscle weakness, and also some alterations, some changes in the electrical excitability in the nervous and muscle fibers will happen. This is not as dangerous of hyperkalemia. In hyperkalemia, the person will die because of the aldosterone. In hyperaldosteronism, we will have some alkalosis. It means that the pH is going upper than normal, 7.4 level of the pH, and we call this alkalosis. But the alkalosis of aldosterone is not very great. But why we will have some alkalosis in hyperaldosteronism? In the collecting duct, we have two different cells. The first cells were the principal cells. They had some receptors for aldosterone, and we were talking about them previously. But there are another also cells. They are cells called intercalated cells. They are responsible for regulating the pH in the body. In this figure, specifically the lower part of the figure, we see that there are two different pumps in intercalated cells. There is one pump which are consuming ATP, which is exchanging the hydrogen ion uh, from the cells to the urine by absorbing sodium. The other one is working by absorbing potassium. But which one is under the control of aldosterone? Both of them, after activation, creates cause some secretion of the ion of the hydrogen ion to the urine. It means that the body will go to the alkalosis level. But which one is activated by aldosterone and is responsible for the alkalosis through higher hyperaldosteronism? The first one was if the second one, sorry, the potassium one, which is exchanging with potassium, was under the control of aldosterone, this is in contrast to the aim of aldosterone, because normally aldosterone wants to get rid of the potassium by secreting the potassium into the urine. But the first one, which is absorbing the sodium and exchanging hydrogen ion by sodium. This is in the goal of the aldosterone. So aldosterone is normally activating the first pump, and because of that, some small alkalosis is happening to the hyperaldosteronism. Um, after inserting or administration of aldosterone in the body, normally we want to the effect gets some hours to happening because aldosterone must go to the cytoplasm and create or activate some transcriptional factor which needs time. But sometimes we see some very short effect, very speedy effect of the aldosterone. It means that we have non-genomic effects of aldosterone because aldosterone also have some receptors not located in the cytoplasm as the regular receptors for aldosterone, but they are locating in the cell surface of the cell, and these effects, we call them non-genomic effect of aldosterone. Most of the time, they are they are increasing the cyclic AMP in the cells. Progesterone and not cortisol, the other hormone which is secreted by the middle layer of the adrenal, we are using some ACE inhibitor. As you remember, ACE was the name of an enzyme which converts the angiotensin number 1 to angiotensin number 2. After using inhibiting of ACE, we see that the level of aldosterone suddenly decreased. But what happened to cortisol? The level of cortisol show no specific changing. So what does it mean? It means that secretion of cortisol is not under the control of angiotensin, but secretion of aldosterone is under the control of angiotensin. Angiotensin ACE is also responsible for blocking the secretion of other enzymes. Some may have some questions that is it possible that besides angiotensin, two other proteins which can be inhibited by ACE are responsible for secretion of aldosterone, for showing that it's specifically angiotensin number 2, not any other proteins. after inhibiting using ACE inhibitors, so by inhibiting the secretion of inside of body angiotensin 2, we use angiotensin 2 by infusion from outside. We see that even although the angiotensin number 2 of the inside of the body is inhibited through ACE inhibitor. After administration of angiotensin number 2 from outside, we can see that the level of aldosterone come back to the normal level. It means that specifically it's angiotensin number 2 which is regulating the secretion of aldosterone. Questions, and I will try to answer all of them. Thank you and bye bye.